Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments when a man says something that appears completely ordinary, yet beneath those simple words, there may be an entire emotional world. Love does not always announce itself through dramatic declarations. Often it appears indirectly, in the way a person speaks, remembers, worries, listens, and gradually allows another person to become psychologically important to him. Today, we will explore 3 important psychological signs hidden within the words and behavior of a man who may be developing deep romantic feelings. The goal is not to assume that one sentence proves someone is in love, but to understand the deeper emotional patterns that can make certain words meaningful. Keynote 1. I want you to be part of my life. When a man begins talking about his future and naturally includes someone else in it, this can reveal an important psychological shift. He may begin saying things such as, "We should do this someday," "You would like this place," or "When I achieve this, I want you there." The important element is not the exact sentence. It is the movement from I toward we. Psychologically, people tend to protect their independence until someone becomes emotionally significant. When attachment grows, the mind begins creating an internal representation of that person within future experiences. The person is no longer simply someone encountered in the present. They begin occupying psychological space in imagined possibilities. This does not automatically mean love. People can speak about the future casually. But when future-oriented language is consistent with caring behavior, emotional openness, and genuine interest, it may indicate that attachment is becoming deeper. A man who repeatedly includes you in his plans may be revealing something he has not yet consciously articulated. His imagination may already be making room for you. Keynote 2. I just want to know that you're okay. One of the most revealing changes in emotional attachment is the development of genuine concern. A man may not say, "I am deeply emotionally attached to you." Instead, he may ask whether you arrived safely. Remember that you had something important happening. Notice when your mood changes, or check on you without needing anything in return. The deeper psychological principle here is attention. We naturally give sustained attention to what matters to us. When someone becomes emotionally important, their experiences begin to carry greater psychological weight. Their happiness affects us. Their disappointment concerns us. Their silence becomes noticeable. But there is an important distinction between love and control. Genuine affection respects another person's independence. Possessiveness, excessive monitoring, or pressure should not be mistaken for love. Healthy emotional attachment sounds less like, "Where are you and why aren't you answering?" and more like, "I hope everything is okay." That difference matters because love does not require ownership. Mature affection allows another person to remain an individual while still caring deeply about their well-being. Sometimes the quietest sentence, "Take care of yourself," can reveal more emotional investment than a dramatic declaration. Keynote 3. I can be myself around you. Perhaps one of the most psychologically significant statements a man can make is that he feels comfortable being himself around someone. Human beings naturally manage their image in social situations. We want to appear competent, confident, attractive, successful, or emotionally strong. But when trust develops, the need to constantly perform can begin to disappear. A man may start sharing his uncertainties, childhood memories, personal ambitions, mistakes, fears, or thoughts that he normally keeps private. This vulnerability is important because emotional intimacy requires psychological safety. When someone believes they can reveal parts of themselves without being ridiculed or rejected, the relationship can move beyond surface attraction. The other person begins to become a psychological mirror, a place where the individual can encounter parts of himself that remain hidden from the wider world. But again, vulnerability alone does not prove romantic love. A person can feel emotionally safe with a close friend as well. What makes romantic attachment different is the combination of vulnerability, consistent care, attraction, emotional investment, and the desire to build a meaningful connection. So when a man says, "I don't know why, but I can tell you things I don't tell other people," listen carefully, not because the sentence magically proves love, but because it may indicate that trust has become unusually deep. Love often begins quietly. It can appear in the sentence that includes you in tomorrow, the question that checks whether you are okay, or the confession that says, "I feel like I can be myself with you." The deeper lesson is that words should never be examined separately from behavior. Anyone can say beautiful things. What reveals genuine feeling is consistency. If his words are supported by respect, honesty, attention, emotional responsibility, and actions that remain consistent over time, then his language may be expressing something much deeper than casual attraction. And perhaps this is one of the most fascinating truths about human relationships. The unconscious often speaks before the conscious mind is ready to confess what it feels. A person may not yet understand why they think about someone so often, why their well-being matters so much, or why their absence feels strangely significant. But gradually, the pattern becomes visible. The heart rarely speaks in one dramatic sentence. It speaks through repetition, through attention, through vulnerability, through the quiet decision to make another person part of one's psychological world. And when those patterns come together, the words, "I care about you," may carry a meaning far greater than their simplicity suggests. When a man begins talking about his future and naturally includes another person in it, something psychologically important may be taking place. He may say things like, "We should go there someday. You would love this place." Or, "When I do this, I want you to be there." On the surface, these sentences can sound casual, but sometimes the deeper meaning lies not in the words themselves, but in the fact that he has begun imagining his future with another person present in it. Human beings constantly create mental pictures of what their future might look like. We imagine where we will live, what we will accomplish, who will be beside us, and what experiences we hope to have. When someone becomes emotionally significant, that person can gradually become part of these internal pictures. Without consciously deciding to do so, a man may begin using language that moves away from "I" and toward "we." This shift can be meaningful because it suggests that the person is no longer being viewed only as someone who exists in the present moment. They are becoming connected to possibilities that have not happened yet. A simple statement such as, "One day we should do this together," can reveal that the person has already entered his imagination of tomorrow. However, it is important not to treat one sentence as absolute proof of love. People sometimes speak about future plans casually, especially when they are excited or comfortable with someone. The real psychological signal appears when this behavior becomes consistent. Does he repeatedly include you in his plans? Does he remember things you have told him? Does he make an effort to stay connected? Does he consider how his decisions might affect you? Does he show genuine interest in your own future? When several of these behaviors appear together, the meaning becomes stronger. Deep emotional attachment often develops gradually. A person may first become interested, then comfortable, then emotionally connected. Eventually, their mind begins associating the other person with important parts of their life. They may start imagining celebrations, challenges, achievements, or ordinary experiences with that person beside them. This is why future-oriented language can sometimes be more revealing than dramatic, romantic statements. A dramatic statement can be spoken impulsively, but repeatedly making psychological space for someone in one's future often reflects a developing attachment. There is another important element: emotional investment. When someone genuinely cares about another person, their future is no longer imagined entirely from an individual perspective. They begin considering shared experiences. They may think, "Would she enjoy this?" Or, "I should tell him about this because he would understand." The other person gradually becomes part of their internal conversation, even when they are physically absent. That does not necessarily mean the relationship will become permanent. Feelings can change, circumstances can change, and people can misunderstand their own emotions. But the pattern can still reveal that something meaningful has developed. Perhaps the most important lesson is this: pay attention to consistency rather than isolated words. Love is not proven because someone says "we" once. It becomes more credible when their words are supported by respectful actions, genuine concern, reliability, and a willingness to make room for you without trying to control you. Sometimes a person does not realize how emotionally attached they have become until they notice that their future thoughts automatically include someone else. The conscious mind may still say, "We are just getting to know each other," while the deeper emotional world has already begun creating a place for that person. That is why seemingly ordinary future statements can carry extraordinary psychological meaning. They may reveal that another person has quietly moved from being part of the present into becoming part of the imagination of tomorrow. One of the most revealing changes that can occur when a man becomes emotionally attached to someone is the development of genuine concern for their well-being. He may not immediately express his feelings through dramatic declarations or openly say that he is falling in love. Instead, his emotions may appear through simple questions and ordinary moments. He may ask, "Did you get home safely? How did your day go? Are you feeling okay?" Or simply, "I just wanted to make sure you're all right." These words may seem small, but when they are sincere and consistent, they can reveal a deeper level of emotional investment. Psychologically, attention is one of the clearest indicators of what has become important to us. We live in a world filled with countless people, conversations, and distractions. Yet when someone begins to matter deeply, our mind naturally gives greater attention to their experiences. We remember details they mentioned weeks ago. We notice changes in their mood. We become curious about how important events in their life turned out. A man who is becoming emotionally attached may begin thinking about someone even when there is no immediate reason to contact them. Something may happen during his day, and his first thought may be, "I wonder what she would think about this." He may hear a song, see a place, or experience something that reminds him of her. This does not mean that every thought is evidence of love, but repeated emotional association can show that a person has become psychologically significant. Genuine concern is different from simple curiosity. Curiosity asks questions because it wants information. Care asks questions because the answer matters emotionally. There is a difference between asking, "Where were you?" and asking, "Did you get there safely?" The first may simply seek knowledge, while the second can reflect concern for another person's well-being. However, this distinction must be understood carefully. Love and control should never be confused. Constantly demanding updates, becoming angry when someone does not reply immediately, monitoring their activities, or trying to control their decisions is not proof of deep love. Healthy affection respects freedom. A person can care deeply while still recognizing that the other person has an independent life. This is why one of the most meaningful expressions of attachment is concern without possession. A man who says, "I hope everything is okay," without demanding access to every detail, may be demonstrating emotional maturity. His concern is focused on the person, not on controlling them. Over time, these small moments can become more meaningful than grand romantic speeches. Anyone can make a powerful declaration in a highly emotional moment, but consistent care requires something deeper. It requires attention, patience, memory, and emotional presence. It appears when someone remembers that you had an important meeting, asks how your exam went, notices that you seemed unusually quiet, or checks on you simply because they sensed that something was different. Perhaps this is one of the quietest ways affection reveals itself. The person does not always say, "You mean the world to me." Instead, their emotions emerge through repeated acts of consideration. They remember, they notice, They ask, they listen, and gradually, through these ordinary moments, a deeper pattern becomes visible. When another person's happiness, difficulties, and well-being begin to matter consistently, they may have moved beyond being just another person in someone's life. They have become emotionally important. And sometimes, before a man is ready to say that he is in love, his concern has already begun speaking for him. Perhaps one of the most meaningful signs of growing emotional closeness is when a man begins to feel that he can be himself around another person. Instead of constantly trying to appear confident, successful, strong, or completely in control, he becomes more comfortable showing his ordinary human side. He may talk about things that matter deeply to him, share personal experiences, admit mistakes, or discuss thoughts that he normally keeps private. This kind of openness can be significant because genuine emotional intimacy requires a certain level of psychological safety. In everyday life, people often manage the image they present to others. We choose what to reveal, what to hide, and how much of ourselves we are willing to expose. This does not necessarily mean that we are being dishonest. It is simply part of how human relationships work. We protect certain parts of ourselves until we have enough trust to believe that those parts will be treated with respect. When a man begins saying things like, "I don't usually tell people this," or "I feel comfortable talking to you," he may be communicating something deeper than simple conversation. He may be saying that the relationship has become a place where he does not feel the same pressure to perform. That emotional safety can allow vulnerability to emerge. He might talk about a difficult period in his life, describe something he regrets, reveal an insecurity, or share a dream that he rarely discusses. These conversations can create a deeper connection because both people are no longer interacting only through carefully constructed versions of themselves. But vulnerability should not automatically be interpreted as proof of romantic love. A person can feel emotionally safe with a close friend, family member, mentor, or trusted companion. The important question is whether vulnerability exists alongside other signs of emotional attachment, such as consistent care, respect, genuine interest, and a desire to maintain the connection. Healthy emotional closeness also involves reciprocity. If one person is constantly revealing personal information while the other person remains distant or dismissive, the relationship may not have the same emotional depth on both sides. Genuine intimacy develops when both people gradually become more comfortable sharing their thoughts and experiences.